Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Marian White, and with me is my co-host since the last millennium, Ken Bialo. Ken served as mayor in the village of Larchmont for 4 years and was on the board of trustees for 11 years. Thank you for all that volunteer time, Ken. And with us is our favorite guest, Mike Weiner. Mike was a trustee on the Larchmont Village Board for 5 years, the volunteer fire chair in the village of Larchmont for 3, and you were a volunteer fireman in the village of Larchmont for 30 plus.
Good enough.
It's not 100% accurate, sorry. Well, it's great to have you guys here. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm going to monopolize the first minutes because Rotary, I'm a member of the Larchmont Rotary. Actually, I'm the longest member. I'm not the oldest, but I've been member the longest of the Larchmont Rotary. And they really do nice things. And we had 2 very interesting meetings recently. Former Town of Mamaroneck Supervisor Valerie Moore O'Keefe spoke in her capacity as the chairperson of the board of the Holocaust and Human Rights Education Center. And that was just, well, you have a radio show with her, so you know that she's just such an interesting person.
Want to talk about clown shoes?
Maybe later, Ken. And then one of our, this year was, I think, our 31st annual Hummocks Middle School Essay Contest, which was started by Jim Cunningham many years ago. And the topic this year that the middle schoolers wrote about, the topic was empathy, particularly because of the contentious presidential campaign. And it's just always heartening to read what these young people write. You know, it really gives me hope for the future. And then the last thing for Rotary was in today's newspaper was Rotary's always been very big on eradicating polio. About 5 years ago, and then it'll die down and then they'll have 1 or 2 cases come back. And it's very hard to, some parts of the world are suspicious about what people are doing with those, what do you give shots with?
Syringe.
Yes, with a syringe, so it's a problem. But about 5 years ago, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation joined Rotary, and we're getting closer, and then it was just announced that there's a 5-year plan to raise $1 billion, where Rotary International, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and actually the Canadian government are going to be contributing. So I'm just very proud of Rotary. I think it's a good organization. Okay, that's my soapbox. So I was talking to you guys.
You realize there's a group boycott here. He's not speaking. I'm not speaking. You're going to have to.
Well, you're waiting for clown shoes.
You're going to have to carry the entire
Well, no, I've said all my.
yourself.
I've said my 28 minutes of words.
You haven't. No, you think you have, but you haven't.
So I was showing you guys how I received, I guess, my 3rd water bill in a year. And I was wondering why. Come on, you were a mayor. You were a trustee.
The village likes you. They decided you need more of their meeting
See
cards.
that little asterisk next to your name?
Yes.
That asterisk says, "We want more money from you."
Oh, I'm a
That's why they sent
special
you that
group.
bill. You are special. You are special. You and Bill are personally a special group.
And it says here, no usage history. So there's nothing about this that is charging for water.
Well,
See,
it
there.
says, fixed service charge 3/4 inch meter. And then it says water charge. That's the giveaway. It says water charge.
But it's not usage.
Well, it's a charge.
Yes.
Might be related to usage. See above that it says previous reading and current reading. You use 40 of those things.
Right,
Yes, see, it says 40,
yes.
but it says CONS. I guess that's consumption, not conservation.
And somehow that's 300.
You consumed 40 things,
Well, you must have gotten one of these.
probably. You don't get a water bill anymore,
Steph-
do you?
No, joy of rental. I think what was interesting of the bill, though, was now that you see the rollout of two things in this water bill that I thought were interesting. One, you're now paying for the meter explicitly, where in the past the meter, the cost of meters was
Rolled into your water cost.
rolled into the usage because the meters lasted for years and was an imputed cost and was done. And then the second thing, well, you see two other charges. There was the reading charge, I believe, correct?
No.
It doesn't say reading.
It
No.
says 40 things.
And then there was, they added the sewer charge.
Yes, that's new. We talked
And that's
about
new.
that
We
last
talked
year.
about this
Yes,
on a
yes,
previous
yes,
show.
Yes, we did.
And what's interesting about the sewer charge is the actual treatment of the sewage. And the primary mains is the responsibility of the county.
Oh. So then
And
what are we paying for?
You pay for, there's the county sewer charge that you pay
Oh, we're
for.
paying for that.
Big
That's in your
bucks.
county tip.
Big bucks.
And that one is in, we looked at the news on the county, we saw how in the town of Mamaroneck, there were a bunch of people that had to change sewage districts because they were in the wrong sewage district. They were actually in the New Rochelle sewage district, but they were being charged as if they were in the Mamaroneck sewage district. And as we all know, New Rochelle's the more expensive sewage district,
Sounds
as we are in the New Rochelle sewage district.
Oh, so all of the villages?
All the villages in that
Oh,
district.
okay, because I
And
saw I was in that.
The reason for that, in case anyone wants to know how you can figure that out, is what side of the hills are you on? That's the great product that has to flow downhill.
Yes, sludge.
You know, so the hills
You
on
know where it's going? It goes to the sewer treatment plant in New Rochelle, which is just off of the Post Road,
and then
which is where the mayor of New Rochelle is going to put up luxury apartment buildings.
What?
right next to it, yeah.
Now, that was so clever. That's such an example of government and democracy at work. Such a clever idea. It's called Echo Bay, is it not? And it's waterfront property, and on the Post Road side, there's the DPW yard for New Rochelle. But right next door is a treatment plant in New Rochelle, which is gigantic.
It's huge.
It's gigantic. It's acres and acres and acres and acres. And gallons and gallons and gallons of whatever's there evaporates. And it permeates the air. So this was really smart. The mayor figured out that if the wind only went in one direction,
They'd be fine.
these new luxury buildings would be fine. So
Healthy.
I get it. I get it. Absolutely. There won't be anything on the walls. There won't be any deposits of airborne thingies on the walls or on the windows or any of that stuff. The mayor had it figured out. So now here's the problem. It may be that the wind isn't only in one direction. No. So they're going to put big fans on Long Island Sound and make sure the wind only blows in that direction. Right? This is government at work. So,
Big fans.
yeah, so huge fans, huge fans. So that will instead blow the wind away from the new Echo Bay luxury apartments. In whose direction?
I guess us.
Larchmont. Yes, government at work again. And all of this is going to be done for free. It's not going to cost any more money. Taxpayers won't get clobbered with all of this. Excuse
They
me.
won't pay for the fans.
Garbage. Oh no, the fish are going to pay for the fans. It's just one Ponzi scheme after another. Just think about this. Think about this. If you were a New Rochelle taxpayer, and we have many of them that come onto the radio show to complain, if you're a New Rochelle taxpayer, what would you say about the city moving the yard from where it's been for 1,000 or maybe 3,000 years, moving it over to Webster Avenue or over near Home Depot into some otherwise workable piece of property, away from the sewage plant so that they can put luxury buildings on the sewage plant? What would you say about that? Does that sound insipid? Is that a good word? Too dumb to discuss?
Clown shoes.
Yes, clown shoes. Are you going to defend this or no? Come on.
You know, I mean, I find, I really don't like discussing New Rochelle because I find, you know, that they have some interesting ideas. Building all the, I mean, and New Rochelle is their own thing, but building all those big skyscrapers and having to provide the huge amount of tax abatements that they required.
Yes, and the huge amount of city services that they require, having no taxes to show for it.
You know, because they've abated them, and I haven't seen, the whole concept behind it was going to be, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. The money would come in, they would increase, they would, you know, improve the entire downtown, and it would be the kickstart, if you will. Haven't seen it. You know, and all you hear is, and I have heard, you know, more ideas to get more development in downtown. There is a...
Right, there's something going on now, right?
Well, New Rochelle is trying to make a play if people want to build on the parcel that the city owns where the Harrison Street Firehouse is, behind the mall. They can
Yes.
build them a new firehouse, and then you can get that parcel for, you know, high-rise construction.
Firehouse downstairs, high rise above it.
Or a
Yeah, right.
firehouse
You
in
get the-
another area. So
Get that right.
they're trying to figure that out, but I think New Rochelle, and I think the whole area, needs to have a more integrated set of urban planning. And that could be a separate part of the conversation, but to finish the concept that I had on your sewer charge is I find it's kind of interesting that we broke out the charge separately, where for years and years it was,
Part of the water charge.
no, it was part of the general fund.
Oh, you're talking about the sewer.
The sewer.
Oh, yeah,
It
the
was
sewer,
part of the
sewer
general
maintenance
fund.
was part of the general fund.
And the reality of it for Larchmont, we're not adding any more sewers.
Nope.
We're not expanding the sewer system. All we do, all that is done to the sewage system in Larchmont for the part that the village owns is maintenance and cleaning.
The occasional repair.
It's the maintenance and the cleaning. We don't, you know, we don't even reline them. That was done with extra funding.
I&I.
So I
We
think
have to pay $600 a year for that?
No, you're paying, here's what you're paying. Sewer charge is $18.
Oh,
The
okay.
danger of this is the same danger that the village of Marian faced when they set up the library district, which is you
Right.
set it up and everybody says, oh, all the proponents, the activists say, oh, it's not going to cost anything, don't worry about it. And the answer is, the cost goes up, and there's no real control over it, and the same thing will
Well,
happen
that's
here.
part of the problem also with that was then people would see a library charge that was like $20 or $100, and it seems so small. So if it goes to 110, you know, it's still very small.
What about in New Rochelle? Garbage pickup.
is now a separate
It's
charge.
broken out. It used to be part of the city budget. It's now a separate charge.
And if we did that, if you take a look, I mean,
Yeah, take-
in Larchmont,
Yeah.
your two biggest costs are your emergency services, you know, are the
And-
two emergency services. Your third charge right behind it that no
Yes.
one really realizes
Yes.
is garbage.
Sanitation.
Sanitation. Now, and it's a joint commission today, so it would be very easy to break out as a separate cost, like a district. However, what makes this so insidious is that when you break out the charges, it doesn't affect the cap.
That is exactly
Oh,
correct.
You've just basically increased your tax
Tax rate.
your tax rate by adding a separate charge in a separate way, and then your general fund stays the same for whatever you want to use it for. And I don't know many people that actually follow the village budget and understand the minutia that is in it, and if that's what they really want. I mean, it's already difficult enough on our property taxes because three authorities come out of it simultaneously. We pay the village,
right.
and I'm going to include the town with the village, our unincorporated area. You pay for your school districts,
Right.
and you pay for the county. So it's very hard when you say, you know,
Right, you just have one figure in your mind, but you don't know how it divides.
and each of
Well,
them.
that's the secret. As long as they keep it quiet. They must have agonized over how to mask what's actually happening here.
So my issue with this isn't the cost per se. It's that as we keep subdividing and all this, it's it's much harder to maintain transparency into where the money is coming from.
No, it's not harder to maintain transparency. It's easy to maintain transparency. It's harder to justify the ridiculous taxes that we pay. And by taking things out of the tax base and shoving them into new envelopes,
It's even more ridiculous.
soon there'll be a separate police. Well, if you don't have to pay for police out of the general fund and you had a police district,
Right.
right? But wow, take $3.5 or $4 million right out of you, right out of the budget. Just shove it somewhere else. Keep picking up the same amount of taxes through the warrant, and then you have $4 million
To play with.
just screw around with, to do what you will. And that's the danger of having local municipalities, is that they are subject to pushes from activists that wouldn't be successful at other levels of government, but are successful in municipal government. And I've used the example, and this is an easy example, is the stupid bike lanes on Larchmont Avenue. Have
Right.
you noticed those?
Oh, yeah.
Have you noticed the insanity of putting kids in the middle of the street in bike lanes? When you grew up, and my children grew up, wow, you rode a bicycle on Larchmont Avenue. You rode it right alongside the curb, wherever you could, and if you had to go around the car, you went around the car, but you're pretty damn careful. You stayed out of the middle of the road.
Right.
The other day, I was making a right turn on the Larchmont Avenue, and there was a father with two little children, everybody dutifully wearing their helmet. They look lovely, right? Riding down
perfect family.
the middle of the street to be inside of the bike lanes. No cars parked over here, just sitting out like sitting ducks 12 or 14 feet from the curb. I never saw anything like that in my life. People riding almost in the middle of
Right.
with children. This is what you're trying to teach them? Ride in the middle of the road? So I went to get the backstory on that. I finally did get the backstory on that. There was one particular activist who was pushing because having bike lanes shows that you're progressive, and it shows that this is a bike-friendly community, even if you wind up killing children because you have these bike lanes. It's a bike-friendly community. I don't know how that works. It's a bike-friendly community, and so that's a good thing to have. Why is that a good thing to have? Has there been, I don't even know if there's been a reported accident in the last 25 years of a child on Larchmont Avenue being hit by a car. I don't know if there is one. If there isn't one, why would you create out of history something that runs a higher risk by putting the kids in the middle of the street? Why would you do that? Answer. Local pressure group. We want to have bike lanes. It shows that we're progressive. It shows that we're environmentally minded. So we're going to have bike lanes. Now, where can you put bike lanes when you have parking on the side of the street? You put the bike lanes outside of the parking. And
Right.
you wind up, as there was on last Sunday, with a dad and two little kids in their little bicycles, and the dad in his big bicycle, riding in the middle of the street.
Well, now people walk there and
Jog
stroll babies there. I mean, so everyone is exposed much more.
Okay, so my point is, and it's the same point with breaking out these individual districts, is there are people who push for things. Municipal government is less likely to resist because
Right.
squeaky wheel gets the grease, and there's a lot more squeak in a little local government scene than there is.
Which has an attractive side to it also, because then you
Absolutely.
can go to your local
You can
person.
go to
and-
resolve problems. I always thought that when we were serving, the idea was to resolve problems. You resolved issues. You tried to solve problems. I never thought the idea was to create problems because there's an ideology that was driving you and you had something you wanted to show everybody else. I never thought of it that way. And I think the world has changed, and I think that's what we see now, and it's nuts. This is nuts too, because that $18 number that you see there is going to go, it's not going down. It's only going to go up and up and up, and things are going to get charged to the sewer pipe repair budget that are sort of related,
Maybe the police pension or
well,
something.
maybe tarmacking over the street, paving over the
Okay.
street where somebody had a break in the sewer line.
Oh,
That is the
okay, yeah,
village
I can see
responsibility.
justifying that.
So that's, that'll go in there, instead of being part of the regular general budget, general fund, it'll go in there, and we'll be seeing all kinds of.
So it's a new
interesting things.
slush fund.
It's a new slush fund.
And The original concept that other villages and towns did, used to use water fees to pay for sewage as a way to measure their sewage, is because they're paying for the treatment. Treatment is a usage-based cost.
Okay.
Our treatment is being paid for out of the county. We're not treating any of this water. The county is.
Yes, but we pay the county to do it.
We pay the.
Well,
but this is not.
Don't leave that out.
You've already paid the county. That's part of your.
You pay them on the usage of the municipality, or no, actually of the district.
So
And
your
I don't
sewer
know
tax.
how do they divide it up. That's a good question. I don't know how they divide up the sewer tax. I would have thought it's a per capita basis, but it really shouldn't be, right? Apartment buildings, which have, like the Trump Tower down there, has what, I don't know, 100 units? I don't know, 50 units? Seems to me they should pay more, but I don't know, they might actually be. I don't know how you do how you apportion sewer charges. I don't know, maybe single-family homes have a standard rate.
I don't have the details on that in this area, and I think I just find that we have to be very careful on when we create new methodologies for taxes and where it comes from, because a lot of ideas sound like great ideas until you realize that it's changing the administration and how do you plan for things.
Do you mean that
That's a
New
really
York
great
is,
point.
Westchester is one of the, if not the first, then the second or third highest tax area in this United States of America in which to live? Do you mean that's a concern to you? What's affordable housing? Doesn't it make you laugh? What's affordable housing in a place where the taxes consume any affordability on their own?
Right.
Really? What? Isn't that a nonsense concept? Isn't that it's just so ironic? How could you can't have
When
affordable housing
couldn't
when
pay
you're
for couldn't pay for a tax warrant, if the thing was at fair value prices, people couldn't afford the tax warrant of that affordable housing in the first place. It's kind of interesting.
Well, it comes from the feds. The feds promote this stuff, and then they put in a funny way to help people who want to build this stuff pay for it. But they don't pay the same taxes that we pay.
No, they don't.
And so let's see. Let's make more affordable housing, which takes more housing off of the regular tax roll and make the taxes go even higher. So how is this affordable? I don't understand it.
Well, it's not affordable for
It's
us.
theological. It's ideological/theological thinking. Instead of solving problems, I have a problem, how do I solve it? It's finding ways to live out the theology that you've adopted and impose it on everybody else. Right? I mean, that's what all these political battles are about. Local government should be about solving problems, not about theology.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's where we were, and it's not where the world is now. The world is now all about theology. If you belong to one party, you have this theology. Even if you whisper the name of the other party, you must have that sort of theology, and the theologies will not meet, and nobody's resolving problems. People are doing stupid things like painting bike lanes on Larchmont Avenue. Stupid things.
Well, I'm calling it environmental. That's the part I don't
It's
get.
not environmental if you create traffic jams.
Right.
I mean, what do you think? It's just words that have no meaning. The reality of the words is twisted to meet the theology that the words have to respond to. The reality itself, forget about the words, is twisted to meet the theology that you want to purvey.
The most environmental things that could help the village
Local government
would be,
Jesus.
were the actuated traffic lights that used to be around Chatsworth School, around Forest Park Avenue. What was
At the
interesting,
nighttime hours.
you had to
We
be
had
on Forest,
we had blinking yellows at nighttime hours and
and
a
you
lot
had
of traffic.
and you had to be on Forest Park to trip the light. They had sensors under the street, and you had to trip the light, and it would change.
Yeah,
When they paved the street a few years ago, or actually I think it was the gas meters, the gas lines, the system busted. The village didn't want to
I
pay.
didn't know that.
The village didn't want to pay to repair it. Not the cheapest solution in the world, but we say everything's environmental, where the most environmental thing in the world is not to stop a car at a red light when there's no opposing traffic.
Absolutely correct.
The most environmental thing, the most expensive part of moving a vehicle is starting it.
You got it.
Once it's rolling, it's actually a relatively efficient operation.
Yes.
Starting it, not so much.
That is why the toll booths have gone from man tolls to tossing change to overhead flashers, because the EPA requires the air quality here
Stays
to be
high.
improved. And New York is one of the prime offenders, so is Los Angeles, Houston, all that stuff. And one way to do that is not to have
The truck stop.
500 cars and trucks stopped while everybody goes like this
Right.
to a poor toll taker who's sitting in the booth and, you know, sort of dancing around in their mind, having to do this for 6 or 7 hours. With the overhead flashers, you can roll through. Wow, that reduces air pollution.
I hope they do that in our part of 95. Is that
The
what-
left 3 lanes have been done.
Yeah.
If you've noticed, you don't hear the tractor trailers half as much as we used to, and the reason you
They
don't
roll
hear them
through.
is because they don't have to slow down, so you don't hear
Well,
them.
they do slow down, but they're
They
not
don't-
going 75.
They don't have to
Okay.
sit there and hit their, go down in their
Right.
brakes, and you hear them downshift like crazy, and then you don't hear them have to upshift like crazy to get started
How
again.
many gears are there in a tractor trailer? 16, 15 forward gears?
11 to
10,
11 to 13
11 to
now,
13.
and most of them are now getting automatic transmissions.
So where is the least efficient in terms of energy usage? Gearing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. By the time it's up to 9,
Right.
it's rolling some, so
Right.
you get some benefit out of the momentum.
And that's
Right.
exactly, they keep them rolling, so I've heard the difference since they put the
Okay.
Easy Pass in.
They're
Because I
putting
don't,
them
I
in all
don't hear
over.
them. I don't hear the Jake brakes kicking in as they're trying to slow down. I don't hear them revving up to get out.
Well, that's good.
Well, we have 46 seconds.
Yes, so you want to talk about clown shoes fast?
Who?
Clown shoes?
Clown shoes.
Next.
No, you have to listen to our radio show. Valerie and I have a radio show.
Does it have reruns?
Reruns. These are hysterical radio shows, beyond the pale radio shows. Last time we talked a lot about clown shoes. And,
Well, it's
and
an
if you want to
important
hear,
topic.
we're on WVOX, you just have to find out, when the next show comes out. It could be a Tuesday at 9 o'clock in the morning, but I don't want to plug. And you can listen to about clown shoes.
Okay, I'll be there. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you to the talent on the other side of the cameras, the really important people here. Stay cool if you can, and see you next time.
You're out.